Get a little bit of water here.
Okay, I think we're live. Take it away.
All right, awesome. So hi everybody, we're here for another Mental Health Monday with Atlas Assistance Dogs, and just to introduce myself in case you haven't heard me talk before or intersected with me in some way. My name is Sarah Pellizzari. I am a therapist and a dog trainer. I'm actually located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I've been involved with Atlas for a few years now and started as a team facilitator and then just kind of merged into supporting the mental health committee that we created about a year or so ago. So we're doing these mental health Mondays just to promote different topics that might be of interest to both our clients and our service dog trainers and team facilitators, and to kind of bring some dialogue to the forefront and open up the floor for people to be able to talk and ask questions about some of the more mental health related things that come up within the service dog world. So yeah, so that's me. I don't know if Jen wants to
Sure.
speak.
I'm Jennifer Kohler. I'm our president of the board and one of our co-founders, also dog trainer in Seattle, Washington. So yeah, super excited to be here to work with people. This is a topic that comes up a lot. Many of the people we work with identify as being neurodivergent. And so whether, regardless of how they view that. And so this is an area of real importance, I think, for us to work with people better in society.
Yes, so our topic, which I did not mention, is
Oh,
neurodivergence, and we are going to talk about neurodivergence in today's call, and may actually talk more in the next FaceTime Live as well. I have written part of a three-part blog series on neurodivergence, and the first part is posted on the Atlas website if you'd like to check out that blog, just to give you an idea of what we will be talking about. In the blog series, but I can also share a little snapshot. We're gonna in the first blog, we're giving just a little bit of a broad introduction to what neurodivergence means and neurodiversity. And then in the second blog, we are going to talk more about the training world and like how we can apply some of what we've learned about neurodivergence into dog training. And we will possibly do another blog on advocacy related to neurodivergence because I feel like that's a really important topic as well. So before I start, I did want to just extend that neurodivergence is a very broad topic and it can mean a lot of different things to different people. We can sort of pull out that, there might be some actual, I guess, diagnosed like conditions around neurodivergence, like ADHD or autism, or Tourette syndrome, but that it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing to each person to be neurodivergent. So I wanted to respect that. And, if any of the dialogue today comes up in a way that's like, oh, that's not what I think, or that's not how I feel about being neurodivergent, just know that like I am trying to honor it the best way possible. It's like this is a very broad, it's not even a linear spectrum. It looks so different from one person to the next. One thing that I like to share just in that respect is um, I have some neurodivergent traits myself. So even though I don't have, a diagnosable condition necessarily related to being neurodivergent, I am definitely have like highly sensitive traits, being a highly sensitive person. So there is a lot around, sound and light and different things like within environments that can be triggering to myself. And so I do come into this with some personal perspective that is probably not going to look like, someone else's perspective, but just being able to honor that. I know that it can be really difficult in different environments for myself. So I can relate to that from my standpoint. And also is a reason I'm really passionate about this topic because I feel like the more affirming that we are of neurodivergence, the more we can create environments that are sustainable for us. And when we think about something like dog training, we want to be able to engage in that, right? We want to be able to stick with our training and feel comfortable with it. And so what that looks like from one person to another can be really different. So I think talking about, what it means to be affirming and what some of the traits are that might come up as being a neurodivergent person will help us also understand like different environments, for different clients and what might be a good fit. So something that we'll be diving into a little bit. I don't know if Jen wanted to add anything onto that piece or.
I think other than just, I think interestingly recognizing that as more and more people as adults are now getting autism diagnoses or ADHD diagnoses that they
Hmm.
never had as a child, and things are starting to click for them. They're like, oh, this makes so much more sense. Or recognizing that it's okay to think differently and kind of looking at neurodivergence not as a bad thing, just as a hey, my brain works a little differently in the rest of the world. And could the rest of the world please adapt? Thank you very much.
Right.
And so I think it's just an area that understanding that different people perceive their environment or process information in different ways
Hmm.
is super, super important.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so I
Processing
really appreciate
information.
that.
I'm glad that you brought that up because that is a huge part of neurodivergence too, is how we process and that our brains work uniquely in different ways to process. One thing that often comes to my mind when I'm thinking about how we are trying to adapt to, having more like neurodivergent affirming environments is school. So I feel like from the time we're children, I hate to put it this way, but like we're kind of institutionalized in a way because we're sent to schools and it's very, rigid usually in what the school environment looks like. At least that was my experience, like as a child growing up. And so now I'm seeing that change. And so now, as a therapist and a social worker going into some schools sometimes to do some work, I see that there are things that have changed to be more accommodating in the environment, including, natural light instead of fluorescent lights. I'm seeing lots of like different seating options, hearing teachers being more open to movement breaks, like things that we didn't really see like in my generation. And that was quite some time ago, but because I'm older than I probably look to most people, but I think we're getting there in terms of thinking, to adapt to the environments differently. I think also the processing piece is coming into play. I see a lot more schools and teachers being open to, learning plans that really help students. So I think that that's been a big improvement. I think where we're still maybe seeing the challenges are, out in public and the public mindset around neurodivergence. And for instance, there are stereotypes, right? There are stereotypes that can be really harmful around ADHD. And I hear that, pretty often that people will make assumptions about, persons that are diagnosed with ADHD, and those assumptions are not true. They're based on what they think is happening, they see that with that person's behavior or how they relate to the world. And they don't understand that, there's an internal process there, that somebody is processing differently than they are. So I think really trying to be advocates for other people and change minds is sometimes a little bit harder, I think, in the arena with other adults. So, um, as we're talking about this from a service dog training perspective, and Jen, I'm sure you have some opinions or thoughts here. We're thinking about how we can help our clients going into those different public environments and what we can do to set people up for success, right? And to make sure that, we can be the platform to sometimes educate, but also helping people feel empowered so that they feel like they can speak up as well. Because I know that it can be really difficult to speak up and to have a voice when it comes to being neurodivergent. I feel like a lot of times it's something that people understand or they don't understand it. And there's not a whole lot of in between. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And I think it's also important to recognize that, especially kind of as you described, and I also deal with a lot of sensory overload. You have this kind of tricky catch 22 when you're training your service dog for public access to support you when you could get easily socially overloaded or where sounds and environments and smells can be really triggering, that you need to be able to help your client or yourself get out there with your dog to practice in that. But that can be very hard to do and it can be very overwhelming. And a lot of times people don't do well with sort of open-ended questions and open-ended direction. And
Hmm.
so what I found can be often really helpful is helping people look at, just like, we say our dogs have certain things they find reinforcing, and we should focus on that. We should do the same for humans. So if somebody finds it reinforcing to have, I don't know, a chocolate bar, or they find it reinforcing to see a garden, or whatever that might be, let's help them have goals that then give them that in response to doing that behavior. And let's recognize that, it may take all somebody has to be able to just drive to sit in a parking lot outside of a mall. That asking them to go take their dog through that mall is not a fair, reasonable task, and they're not going to be successful. So instead, it's like, okay, your goal today is to go sit in the back of your car for 5 minutes at the shopping mall, and you and your dog are going to watch the world. Okay, tomorrow it's like, hey, you like ice cream? Cool. Our training session today is going to be going to an ice cream shop at a very quiet time, but it's a new place you've never been and you can't predict the smells, the sounds, the tastes. Our training session today is going to be about getting ice cream. And figure out, how do you work everyday life and people's goals and things that are fun
Hmm.
into training rather than it feeling so daunting, because it can just feel like so much. And that's an area where I found really helps people feel a lot more successful or be a lot more successful rather than just saying, well, I'm sorry, if you're not out with your dog practicing every day, this isn't going to work.
Right. Right. And I think that those are really good points. It's also fair to, ask what energizes somebody, right? Because different environments are energizing to different people. And, somebody may have a diagnosis, say, of autism, and noise and sensory overload is something that's really consistent. Battle for them, but then someone may have a diagnosis of autism and actually thrive in like more busy and like noisy environments. It's very individual. So it's always worth asking someone, what environments do you feel energized in? What feels good to you, right? In training and approaching it that way in the positive way that you were talking about and what feels reinforcing. It goes for environments too, like what feels good versus what feels draining and what feels like overwhelm or overload. So really defining that, I think, from one person to the next. I think can be really helpful too. So, thinking about it in that context and yeah, I mean, I feel like we would have a different answer for each person that we talk to, in terms of what they find helpful. And yeah, so we are definitely going to talk more about training, but I think that that's kind of a good platform to jump off of. So,
And I think the other thing I would encourage, if you're working, either you as the trainer, you as the client, if if you're in an environment that's not healthy for you for whatever reason, it does, and the trainer working with you doesn't get it. I would say trainers listen to your clients, but clients, don't be afraid to say, because I had a client do this once and it was super helpful. We were taking a break and sitting down, and she's like, do you hear that water drop right there? Do you hear that leaf blowing right there? Do you hear those footsteps right there? Like pointing at, she's like, this is exploding in my head at all times in all places.
mhm.
That was background noise for me that I had tuned out.
Right, right.
And it was really helpful for her to just be like, this is what my brain is doing right now. And this is
Hmm.
why this is so exhausting for me to be here. Um,
Yeah.
and so it was really helpful so I would encourage people, help explain what your experience is. And to those of us who aren't having that same experience, listen. It's not someone making it up. It is their experience. And
Absolutely.
so I think that's been helpful for me, or have people share with me go watch these, like some videos of like, what's the world like for an autistic person? And obviously that's just one aspect of
Right.
all that relate to neurodivergence. But I found that, if you're experiencing the world differently, sometimes it can help to bring other people into it with you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think too, you had a really nice example there. So you had a client who was very finely attuned to their experience, right? And so what happens a lot of times when we are neurodivergent is we end up masking a lot, right? So we end up trying to adapt. So like we end up trying to minimize like our own behaviors or reactions to environments because it's not within quote unquote the social norm, right? That we're expected to unfortunately adapt to. So I think one thing to keep in mind too is if your client is used to masking, that maybe, they're somewhat attuned, but maybe not as attuned as the person that you were speaking of, Jen, where like they're like, I can tell you all of these different things. It could be too, helping them recognize their body language and also how they're feeling, right? And maybe this is getting a little bit too therapy, but I'm very much into the somatic realm of knowing, what's happening in my body, like when I'm going into a different environment. So, you know, if I'm taking a walk down a trail in a park, it feels very different than if I walk into a Walmart in the middle of a Saturday. I know that my body changes. I know that I get tense. I may not show it on the outside, right? But I know that it's there because this is a very like overwhelming, like sensory environment, with noise and lights and lots of people and unpredictability. And so I think part of that too is sometimes maybe it's worth just exploring with someone, saying, have you noticed like for yourself, like what it's like when you go from this place to this place? Or, do you notice that you get, uncomfortable in different spaces? Because I think that we are going to have people that we work with and talk to that know they're neurodivergent, right? It's kind of what you were alluding to before. And then we're having people find out like, hey, like this is a part of who I am, and they're well into adulthood, and they've lived with it and they've masked it for so long that it's become maybe like, hey, those are just parts of myself that feel like they're not acceptable. But they know they've got some level of discomfort, but can't necessarily put their finger on like what those nuances are of like feeling uncomfortable. So you will find, you've got maybe clients that they might not be diagnosed with something, like they might not have, ADHD or autism or Tourette's or a relatable diagnosis to neurodivergence, but they may have some traits that they're masking, and that could be related to a lot of different things. I feel like we mask, a lot of different mental health conditions. So we mask depression, anxiety, OCD, like different things so that we can try to, get and fit into the norm of society. And sometimes, we need to take a step back and say, hey, like, what is my individual experience like? Like, how am I being affected? Um, how do I feel, if my trainer is in front of me and I've had this experience and I think I've been on the trainer who's done this too. My trainer's in front of me and they're giving me all this verbal information and it's just so much to digest, right? So that can feel like, maybe not somebody's learning style, but also like just such an overload of like information. So it's always worth exploring this with anybody, regardless of if they share like, hey, I'm neurodivergent, or if you're just noticing like maybe, there's some checking out or like someone showing you they feel overwhelmed. Maybe they go silent or, maybe as a trainer you see that somebody is not as engaged as when you first met. And it's always worth exploring like what is that about, right? Um, and obviously doing that in a sensitive way. You don't want to corner somebody with questions, but just showing curiosity, hey, I noticed, when we started, you seemed to feel good about our plan together. And then maybe I'm noticing like a little hesitation and I want you to just be fully transparent and feel like you can be honest with me about what your experience is. And you'd be surprised, I think, what kind of information that you can get from people. So, yeah.
Yep, I like that. And I think the other thing also can be if you're struggling to work with somebody, if either you as the trainer, or you as the client, like if you as a trainer trying to work with a client who you're struggling with how to communicate with or how to, reach them, or you're feeling like things are just, you're crossing each other, this is a great time to reach out to resources, right? This is a great time. We have our mental health committee, we have, you know, licensed social workers like Sarah or other mental health providers. There's other trainers that have navigated this. Um, so that you're not feeling unsuccessful and like you're not making progress with your client, or you're not making assumptions that you think, oh, the client's acting this way because of this, when really it's completely different. So asking them, trying to see if you can have a session, talk to them. If you're the trainer, are they comfortable with you, talking with them and a mental health provider to help explain some of what's going on and to help give you some tools? Don't be afraid as the trainer. I think it's really important to ask for help. And to not pretend you know everything. That's how we get better. That's how we help people. So I'd also really encourage other trainers to, be curious and, you know, yeah, ask, what do I
Yeah.
need to know? What does this look like for you?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that as trainers too, like we tend to work so much better when we have a think tank or like, other people we can go to and say, "Hey, I'm taking this approach, with this client and their dog, and I'm kind of noticing that maybe we're a little bit stuck." And then gosh, I know before I get so many different like pieces of feedback when I throw that out to other trainers. I'm like, "Wow, I didn't think about that piece," because I think sometimes we kind of go in like this, and sort of have our focus, and we've got our toolkit and everybody's toolkit looks a little bit different, right? Like no two trainers are going to have the exact same skill set, because we pull from so many different philosophies and orientations for training, but also there are so many different ways that you can learn these days. So I think we're always getting new information. And so there's always something new to try or a new approach. And I also wanted to just say too, I like that we're talking about, making a client-centered plan, with our clients and having them feel like they're in the driving seat. And one thing that is helpful for that too is just figuring out learning styles. So when we talk about processing, everybody, processes a little bit differently. So it could be that you have a conversation with a client, like, do you learn better, when you have the leash, you're in the driving seat and you can move around and it's more action oriented? Do you need to be able to take things like, piece by piece, like we break it into small pieces, kind of like when our dogs are learners. We break things into really small pieces. Are you a visual learner? Do you like to read things? Do you like to listen to things? Like, what is most helpful? Because that can be very different from one person to the next. And when we do a deep dive more into training, we are going to talk about, different, I guess, not training approaches, because we use positive training approaches, but different, I guess, games or different ideas for training that might be a little bit more workable and more engaging, and feel more doable, I think, in a sense, so that people feel like, hey, we're not just going to a training session and it's just like repetition, repetition, repetition. Unfortunately, that can feel like a lot of training, and especially when you're task training, as it feels like repetition. But we can get creative, we can think outside the box. We can try different things that keep us feeling engaged. So I think that that's a really important aspect of, being client centered too. And I'm sure that some of our clients would probably have opinions too on, how they feel like, they like to approach training with their dog. And I think one thing that I think of too when we think about training is, time and that we spend on training. It it's not necessarily value added to have like a really long training session. I think that you can break things into small parts, and that not only does that feel a lot more doable, like it can actually like promote more success. So if you're doing a 5-minute session in the morning with your dog and you do 5 minutes in the afternoon, and if you're feeling up to it, maybe you can tack on another couple minutes in the evening. they're getting those repetitions. It's just getting broken up throughout the day so that you're not taking like, say a half hour and trying to go, walk in a public place and like do a training session. I think too, one thing we can think about is like how we can regulate ourselves in training sessions. And I think this is important for both dog trainers and clients. And I know it might sound a little bit strange, but I think as, a therapist, especially like what we learn working with people is that we have to be in a state of regulation in order to really be attuned to somebody else. And so, a lot of times, I'll take that approach of, before I even go work with someone, do that check in with myself. Like, am I in a state of, feeling regulated? If I'm not, like, is there something that might help me, like, in those moments? If it's breathing, if it's just taking some quiet space, if it's taking a little walk. So being regulated when you go into a training session. And then also, if you can have this conversation with your clients, if they're feeling tired or they're feeling overwhelmed, how can we take a break? How can we have some regulation built into our training sessions? It doesn't have to be separate. It can be something that you do as part of your session. I kind of think of like relaxation protocols and how you can do mat work, and that can feel kind of regulating, and something that you can do hands-on with your dog, or like massage that can feel kind of regulating. So sometimes building that into your training plan, I think, can be really helpful and something to think about.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that from the tactile perspective. That oftentimes when you're saying building that into the session, that just the touch of touching the hair of the dog, having
Mm-hmm.
a leash that's got a little bit more tactile nature to it, that
Mm,
can be
yeah.
very soothing and calming. Or but paying attention to that, knowing yourself, because I know some people where like the sensory kind of feel of, oh, I don't like the feel of that leash, or it might be sticky, or it might be like being
Mm-hmm.
aware of where some of that sensory feeling might come in, it might help you or make it harder. And as the client, not being scared to advocate for, well, I need to do this way because of X, or I want
Absolutely.
to do this way because of X. And as the trainer, coming in with a series of tools, but recognizing that, yeah, doing like, hey, why don't we just lay down and like let our dog, practice putting their head on our lap. It
Mm-hmm.
can build some deep pressure therapy and some stay skills, or it could just be leaning next to you. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
so, or just petting them,
Yeah. Yeah.
which also we know releases endorphins that have been scientifically shown to be soothing and calming for both, as well as
Yeah.
having that sensory soothing.
Like element. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that going off of that too, like I've always approached, both dog training and therapy is like I want my clients to be comfortable. So if there's something they want to bring with them that makes them comfortable, like by all means, if they want to bring a backpack, or a pack of things that they feel like are soothing, sensory, that help them. I think that that is a great way to just sort of help when we need those regulating moments. It's not like you have to say, hey, I'm gonna take out my stress ball now. Like you can just take it out and just make it like a normal part of, what you're doing together. And I think that that sort of that sets the tone of like this is something where you feel like you can, nurture yourself and regulate when you need to. So if you need to bring, snacks, like something like whatever feels like something that is good for you, like in that session, like really tuning into that for yourself and setting yourself up in a place where you can be like, I'm comfortable, I'm comfortable. Because really, if you're not comfortable, it's really hard to engage your mind into training anyway, because you're working with your dog. And, we have to be so like finely tuned to them too, that I think that's sort of the, that's sort of the paradox of like training, right? Is like we're trying to have our dogs like, our partners and learn with us, but if we're not comfortable and we're not in a space where we feel like we can do that, then I think it makes that task feel like pretty monumental, even, if it might be like you're working on something that, on a good day might feel simple. Like if you're having a day that feels harder, it might feel a lot more difficult to engage in something like that. So yeah. So I think there's some things to be said for that too, and creating creating what you need for yourself in those moments. Because sometimes we can't control environments, right? We'll have those days where like we step into an environment and something uncomfortable happens, and recognizing it, I think, is the first thing, is like, this is something that's uncomfortable, right? And then what can we do in that moment to either say, hey, I need to exit and take a break, or do I feel like I can work through this moment? It's kind of like when we talk about, and again, I'm not comparing us to our dogs, but when we talk about being over threshold, um, when our dogs are over threshold and they're not able to learn, I feel like it's the same thing for us. So like in that moment, defining like, am I over threshold, or am I feeling like I can still work on something? And what's going to tell me when I'm getting to feeling over threshold? I feel like we had sort of the same conversation when we were talking about trauma too, because, trauma is very nuanced and very different from one person to another with when we experience triggers, and we might have re-experiencing, um, and to be really finely tuned with what signals we're getting from ourselves, right?
Yeah, and I think it's a good reminder to remember this, that and kind of setting yourself up for success, to remember as trainers that paying attention looks different for different people.
Mm-hmm.
And so for somebody that could mean they're pacing, they are writing, they are playing with a fidget toy, that attention doesn't always come across the same. And
Yes.
so to give room
Yeah.
for your clients, that it may appear to you like they're paying no attention at all because they're
Mm-hmm.
shuffling around their feet, they're picking at things, whatever. But actually, that's them helping regulate themselves so they can actually be present with you. And so I think that's an important thing, is for the clients to feel safe to use their skills, to use stimming skills, to use whatever helps them,
Mm-hmm.
and for the trainers to give space for that and make sure, okay, do we need to shift to a hands-free leash? Do we need to have more motion in our training? Do we only talk when we're sitting still? Do we,
Mm-hmm.
how do we work that in, so that it is the most successful for people? Um,
Yeah. Our behavior doesn't always tell other people like how we're feeling. So, for instance, I have heard, sometimes overactivity can actually, I've had clients tell me like that means that they're tired. Like when they're overly active, like they're not energetic, they're actually feeling tired. And then it's really a difficult point because other people see them as, going and, being energized. Maybe that's a lot of movement. Maybe it looks like a lot of movement, but they're actually overexhausted. And, tuning into, well, just because I see something doesn't necessarily mean like I'm interpreting it the right
right.
way. So I think that's where open dialogue, I feel like, is really important. You could just say to somebody, I see you're moving. What does that mean for you? Like when you're moving, does that mean that is that regulation, or does that mean anxiety is coming up and what's happening in that moment? So really trying to understand what that means for the particular person, because again, people surprise me like every day with, what is different for them and what's very individual in their behavior. I think because I've worked with children so much too, and children can't always, clearly like verbalize, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking. Um, I've had to really try to change my brain and really, observe, but not necessarily come to conclusions about things. And, with kids, it's great because things will come through play sometimes, and that'll give you some information too. But tuning into our learners and sort of trying to understand, well, I've got information in front of me, but I may not necessarily know like what this means, if that makes sense. So, yeah. So staying open to conversation for sure. And let's see, I'm trying to think like flexible training plans. I think we talk about that a lot, but I think just being flexible, knowing that we might have to make some changes, that we might start with a training plan and then we get into things, and we learn that maybe something's not working, or, we can try something different, like we were alluding to before. So, yeah, I think flexibility in training is really important. And yeah, I think even, just going into, non-service dog training, that I see that a lot, where it's like I will go in with a plan, but I always tell my clients, this is what our loose plan is. This is what I think, based on what you're telling me and what we think is going to work together. But it's okay if that changes. So yeah, and it's okay if our goals change, right? So we might figure out like something felt like it was workable before, but maybe it feels like a little bit too much now, and we need to take a step back and break it down into something smaller, and that's absolutely okay. So I think normalizing that training is a process and that we can be flexible with it. So,
And I think that's interesting that, like, because on the flip side of that, many people who identify as being neurodivergent are not flexible in their thinking, right? They
mhm.
can end up, and I've worked with this with clients where having a training plan change underneath them last minute, because I'm someone that tends to like just think on the fly.
Mhm.
And I've shown up like, hey, let's do this instead, and had clients just panic because
Oh, yeah.
they had this
Yeah.
expectation, they'd mentally prepared for this, they knew we were going to do this,
Yeah.
and what am I doing messing that up?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so while I think it's double-sided. Like we want to be flexible as
Mhm.
things change and as we're in the situation to adapt to meet our client and dog where they're at. But I
Mhm.
think we also need to know our clients
Mhm.
enough to know, hey, where did they really not like variability and flexibility? Where do
Yes.
they really like structure and predictability because that's safe and that
Mhm.
you can plan for that and it can be predictable? Um, and so that's something that I've realized there that people may have a very specific way, like, well, I'm doing this because of this. I see this, or
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
dog is doing this because of this. That people may have developed some stories around how things work for them, and
Mhm.
um, kind of giving space for that may just be how their brain is working and how they're going to interpret it. And it's not necessarily right or wrong,
Right.
but I have definitely found I've had to learn, yes, I have to be flexible, but I can't necessarily expect my client
Yeah,
to
that's
be
a
able to be
really good point.
flexible.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely thinking of it in terms of like trainer flexibility, which I know, can be hard for some of us as trainers too. Like if we come from a place of wanting to compartmentalize or a place of like that's too much, like I need flexibility. Sometimes that can not always feel like the right fit, but I think if you can like be adaptable, that's always ideal so that you can help your client and do the work. If you're finding that you're really hitting some roadblocks, I think as we said before, like reaching out and getting some help. And then if you're still like, well, maybe this just isn't the best match, like that's okay. Like there are ways to like find the right person for that for your client to work with. But you're right. I mean, we are going to see too where like our clients need certain things and expect like a certain amount of predictability or need that, right? In order to thrive and in order to feel safe and feel like they can engage. So that's definitely worth exploring as well. Um, and so I think a lot of this is just really being observant and really listening and asking questions. And I don't know if you have any resources like within Atlas that are helpful with this too, is like when you're making like a plan with a client, how can you approach that, right? Because for some people, open-ended questions are great. For other people, they're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we do have you can find this on our website, and we also teach this in our courses, sort of an accessibility checklist that
Hmm.
can include a number of interview questions or ways to ask questions to help get through to what does your client actually need, in a way that's not invasive. You're asking what you need to know to be able to support them. And so understanding that, how do you ask questions that may feel uncomfortable to you to ask? And then how do you listen? But yet at that point, there's people we work with that I know that their brain will literally shut down if you ask an open-ended question.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that you need to be like, well, we're going to do A, B, or C. Which would you like? And
Hmm.
sometimes that may be too much. It's like, okay,
Right.
we're just going to go do B.
Hmm.
And if they object, they can tell you.
Yes.
But I found that some of the old adages we were taught of just always ask these open questions can be really, it can cause people to just freeze
Mm-hmm.
and not know what to do because the amount of choice is so great.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think putting things in simple ways of, does this do this for you? Does
Yeah.
this do this for you? Kind of, you're put not giving 10 options or open-ended of, hey, I'm seeing this. Your dog might be doing X, Y, or Z. If
Right.
they don't agree, they can tell you.
And you
But
can, yeah, and I think that's great. And you can come, in an honest way and say, you are absolutely able to interject. As I'm using this as a process to sort of see how we can work together. So it might feel a little bit funny. And if I say, hey, we're going to try this, and you don't like that, you can say, hey, I absolutely don't think that's a good idea. So
right,
sometimes just, having that transparency of like, hey, I'm trying this because we do go in and we're like, who, as trainers, like, how do we, help figure this situation out? And sometimes we'll take something as a tool and use it. And I think it's kind of nice to be just transparent with our clients and say, hey, like, I'm sort of using a little bit of a rubric or a checklist here. It might feel kind of funny, like as I'm going through some of this. And if you need to interject and say, nope, that's not going to work for me, I want you to absolutely feel like you can do that so that very again, like client centered, and they feel like they're in that process. Because I also think too, what happens, and I've seen this a lot in the mental health world, is people will shut down just because there is the power dynamic, and we don't necessarily talk about power dynamics, I think, enough in the service dog training world, but it's absolutely a thing where, we're sitting, with a client, and maybe they've experienced a lot of stigma. And so in order to feel safe, maybe like shutting down and going with things has been the way that they've learned to sort of survive and, get from one situation to another. So just being really fair in that regard too, and understanding that stigma is always out there, and that we have to recognize like our own power dynamics sometimes too that comes into play.
yeah, very true. And for some people, it may be they want to mask in that situation. Like that's a coping mechanism that they feel safe with and trust, and it's actually less energy
Mm-hmm.
depending on that situation. That's a
Yeah,
choice
that's a
they've
good
made.
point. That's a good point. Yeah.
No, they don't want to use their dog or to try to work through something at that given point. They would rather just get through it and get the heck out.
Yeah. Yep.
That's actually less effort.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's another thing to recognize, that not everybody wants to kind of work through everything or let all their emotions out there at that given point. That's scary in our society, and it's exhausting, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so respecting people's choice in that and not pushing them to say, well, no, you really need to learn to work through this. Like, well, no, they don't.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think sometimes, that can work either way, and masking and regulation, or they go hand in hand, right? And so some of that is, well, that's helping me to stay like where I need to be and to be able to get through the situation. So it makes perfect sense that sometimes that is actually it's counterproductive to try to say, okay, I'm going to let it all out and try to regulate it. And yeah, and I think to some degree we all have to do that too, right?
Mhm.
Every day. So yeah, so I think that those are really good points. I had another thought here and I kind of lost my train of thought there a little bit. um yeah, so maybe it'll come back to me.
And so we'd love to hear, I know many people will come back and watch these after the fact. So if you go to our Facebook Live page to find this, we also will have this on our resources page on our website in the next couple of days, where you can go and find links to these blogs. There is um, not a podcast, but a subscription you can subscribe to with these Mental Health Mondays. Ask us questions. Send us information. You can just send it to info@atlasdog.org. You could comment on Facebook, but let us know your thoughts on this topic, especially as we're going into these multi-part topics. We're looking to bring some guest speakers in to help share that. Let us know, what are your experiences in this area? What's worked well for you? on either flip of that coin of being the client or the trainer, and
Mm-hmm.
also recognizing that many people who are trainers, we ourselves identify with some sort of neurodivergence. And how do we be successful working with our clients, right? We're recognizing, where are we accidentally triggering each other? Where do
Oh,
we
I
need to
like
kind of
that.
take
Yeah.
care of
Because you do, that
ourselves?
happens, doesn't it? Yeah.
It really
Sometimes there are
does.
accidental triggers, and I think sometimes it's really easier on the trainer side to be like, oop, I gotta hold back and not like acknowledge my trigger, if you're triggered by something. We talked about the power dynamic. It can feel that way for clients too. It's like, oh, I can't express, how I really feel about this. And yeah, so that's a really good point, is like it can go in both directions. And yeah. And I like that you touched on too, maybe exploring like what hasn't worked before, because a lot of our clients, I presume, this may not be training their first service dog, and so they have had maybe other dogs and other training experiences, and maybe can lean into that a little bit too. Or on the flip side, what worked well in different training scenarios, what felt good. And yeah, I think again, depending on knowing your client, knowing what kind of questions they um, feel comfortable answering. It can be, when you had a really good training experience, like, can you tell me what that day looked like? Or like when you felt you had a good day with your dog, like what did that look like? Like where were you? What were you doing together? What did you notice for yourself? So sometimes leaning into that a little bit can be helpful too. So we're hoping that when we move forward, we might have some guest speakers that will come on too. And like Jennifer was saying, and just to be able to add some different voices to the mix. And if you're listening and you would like to join and talk on the topic too, we're really open to that too. So if you feel comfortable or more comfortable putting questions in, the chat box when you view the FaceTime Live on the Atlas Facebook
The
page,
Facebook Live.
that's
Yep.
fine too. Or you're welcome to email us too, and just email us questions, perspectives, anything you'd like for us to bring up and touch on. So yeah, but it's been great diving into this topic. I would again, like when we get more into the advocacy part of this, I really want to, acknowledge everyone's voices and like what that's been like for different trainers and team facilitators and clients. So I think that'll make that a lot more valuable than just me giving my perspective. So,
Well, I think it's a helpful perspective, though. And I do, as Sarah pointed out at the beginning, we recognize this is an area where people identify very differently.
mhm.
And so, you know, there's room for, as a trainer, it's important to meet your client where they're at in terms of the language that's comfortable to them, the identity that's comfortable to them, but also recognize that in yourself and what feels authentic for you. And give room that those could be different things. So hopefully this was helpful. And if there's a different perspective you have, let us know.
Yes, we absolutely want to hear from you. So, yeah. Well, I don't really think that I have anything else to add for today. I think this has been a
Yeah,
good way to open things up. And again, feel free to reach out to us. If you're a trainer or a client who you want some more support as well, that's what we're here for. So thanks for joining and tuning in with us today.
thank you. Okay, bye.